Welcome to the Bloom Where You're Planted podcast from Never Too Late Cafe. I'm your host, Laura Womack. Each week we sit down for a chat with someone just like you, someone who had an idea, a passion, a dream, or sometimes just a thought, and planted that seed, watched it grow into something they wanted to share with the world. If you have an idea for a topic or someone that would be a guest for the Bloom Where You're Planted podcast, feel free to reach out to us on Facebook, where you can join our Never Too Late Cafe Facebook group. We'd love to hear from you. And today I have a very special guest with me, Edwin Martell. Hi, Edwin.
Hello. How are you?
Great. So glad to have you here. So we always start out with where you're currently living.
Yes, I am currently living in Portsmouth, Ohio.
Okay. And is that where you're from originally?
No, actually, I'm originally from a small town called Lorain, Ohio. And Portsmouth kind of reminds me a lot about Lorain.
Oh, okay. So we'll just jump right into your story. And I just have to say, you have done many things. So we'll just go one step at a time. But a lot of people know you as a photographer, and that's
Yeah.
how I have met you as well. And how did you get into doing that?
Well, it started out as a hobby. I think I've always been a creative at heart. Uh, and so like getting into photography was almost like by chance. Um, I was given a camera from someone that just they just didn't see the need or use of the camera no more. And so like I took that camera and I just started taking pictures. And the more I took pictures, the more I enjoyed it. And so it became more of like an outlet for me, to help me kind of get that creativeness inside of me kind of out, you know.
Mm, interesting. So then you started as a business. And when did that start?
I decided to like fully put it into a business or turn it into a business last year, 2023.
Oh,
That was my first like I formed an LLC, and that was like my first year was last year as far as like the business side. But I've been doing it for a few years now. I'd probably say about 3 or 4 years. I've been kind of dabbling in photography.
and how'd you come up with the name? It's Elm Street.
Yeah, so Elm Street photography. It's almost like Nightmare on Elm Street. So the reason why I use that phrase Nightmare on Elm Street is because growing up I was always a fan of the Nightmare on Elm Streets and Freddy Krueger. But also Elm happens to be my my initials, so Edwin Lewis Martell, and so it spells Elm, and I
Well,
was in Elm Street, so it's like why not?
I had no idea. Of course, I didn't know your middle initial though. But so you are very active in the Portsmouth, Ohio community and area. So um, I'm just going to put out some things, and you just kind of describe. So I know that I could describe it as community development because, and it's through the arts, almost everything here. Let's see. You were a mentor at the juvenile drug court. How did
Yes.
that come about?
So, I grew up in kind of like a lot of kids are growing up here in Portsmouth. I had a very kind of, I guess, messed up background. An upbringing was not what it should have been.
Mm.
Um, dealing with drugs in the house and violence, sexual abuse, you name it. And so for me, I wanted to talk to kids and kind of tell them my story, which resonates with a lot of children here in Portsmouth. And so I wanted to give them, some sort of hope that, as long as they work hard, which I know we kind of say that a lot, that terminology gets thrown around a lot, but what I try to tell them is it's not that you have to work hard. It's that you have to work harder than everyone else. Um, and so, you know, it resonates with them because I can relate to a lot of the emotions and how they felt or how they're feeling at the moment because I went through a lot of those same emotions. And so, talking to them about how to manage those emotions and try to use those as fuel to kind of help you become a better version of yourself because we all have it in us. It's there. It's just sometimes it takes a while for it to come out, and there's certain ways and certain things that you can do to help kind of bring that out of some of the youth here. And so I decided that I found the program. Somebody had invited me to the program because of my community work and involvement, and it really helped me, but it also helped all the youth that I have mentored and things like that here.
So are you still currently doing that program, or was that something way back? Or
so that I'm not doing the mentoring, but I do still come and do talks for the kids. And so I come in and I talk about my background and I talk about my life, give them a few snippets of what it is that I went through, and then I talk about them, and I try to relate my situation with their situation, and a lot of them relate. And I've had a lot of kids contact me afterwards, and they talk about hey, saying things like, how did you get over this, or you said something like this, and I'm going through that same thing, what can I do? And so it really I don't know, it's very powerful and very rewarding, but it's also very scary because here these kids are still kind of going through a lot of things, and it's difficult. It's difficult to manage as a child.
You were also on the board of Shawnee State University Athletics Board. How did that start?
Well, that came about by chance. So I do a lot of freelance photography for the university. I do a lot of sports photos, and they asked me, given my background, that I was on city council and for former councilman and things like that. Networking and all of that. They had asked me if I would like to join and help them develop their athletic department.
That's very interesting. So you just mentioned city council. That's a big endeavor. And
yes, it is.
For many reasons. But so what years was that? Was 4 years ago? 3 years?
I want to maybe three years ago, or maybe 2. So I know we went through the pandemic. So I want to say it was probably 2019 to 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
And during that time, you brought the concept of public art, the Public Art Commission, to our area. So what got you interested in public art and to bring it to the city for the city council to, work on that direction of art?
Well, I've always been a fan of art. Being a creative like myself, it's just in us to want to see art and live it. I've visited many cities like over the Rhine in Cincinnati, and other big cities. And you go to these cities and you see areas that are like very predominant with public art, and they have buildings with murals, and they have utility boxes that are painted, and you have like all kinds of different styles and different types of art. um, while I was on council, I was able to help the Portsmouth Street Art Project obtain a free art wall. And here in the state of Ohio, it's one of, I believe, 4 free art walls that are in the whole state. And so that's right here in Portsmouth. And they have a enormous flood wall that any artist, no matter what medium you use, you can go to this wall and just paint. Of course, there are, rules, regulations. So like no nudity, no profanity. But other than that, it's, it's what you want to do with it. So seeing that happen, or helping that kind of transpire, and then seeing the art on this flood wall, just, it kind of got my mind going, like, wow, we could really like do this everywhere in the city. And so we're already an art town. We have the flood wall with the Robert Dafford murals. And, there's art everywhere. There's art all over our flood walls, and people travel all over to come see it. And we have we have a city that is full of creatives. And so
Absolutely.
I really like wanted to like figure out what could I do as a councilman that could help creatives here within our city. And so looking at other cities and seeing what they're doing, I stumbled upon the public arts committees. And so I decided, I was like, well, I think that would be something fantastic for us to do here. And so, I mean, like anything, you take the idea, you get the legislation written up, and you present it to other council people, and you hope that they see your vision and see the good that it can do for the city, and vote on it.
Well, I know the street art project, one of the main people there, it's a lot of graffiti, and that's fascinating. I see, I've seen graffiti all over the place. I lived other places, and there's areas you just go just to see the graffiti and the styles and the techniques, and people go and study how to do different types. And
yes,
so
graffiti is an art form. And it's sad that people associate graffiti with vandalism or tagging. And there's a huge difference. There's a whole history behind graffiti, and graffiti, like I said, is an art form. People learn it. And it's a skill that is, it's almost like a, to me, it's almost like a treasure. Like, I love graffiti. We see it all over trains, and we see it all over buildings, and we see it in, and so seeing it like happen here in Portsmouth is just, it's fascinating, and I love it.
When you were talking about our flood wall and Robert Dafford, I had the opportunity to go to Paducah, Kentucky, because I always heard that was a really cool place to go, and it's an artsy place. And I saw their flood wall, and I went, this looks very familiar. And then I saw the signature. He did part of their wall, maybe all of it. I don't know. But I went, I don't know why I would think that I could recognize an artist because there's, they could have similar. I don't know. But I went, it is Robert Dafford.
Yeah.
So, um, so then, from there, you also, Help Me Grow. That is another youth program, isn't it? Or children and youth.
Watch Me Grow.
Oh, I thought it
Yeah.
was Help Me Grow. Okay, Watch Me Grow.
Yeah. Watch Me Grow, Ohio.
Okay.
That organization is an organization that is, yes, it is about the youth and helping them learn different ways to for sustainability and like learning like different tactics of growing as far as like agricultural. We do like agricultural classes. We built a community garden, and with that community garden, we we grow, food, produce, fruits, and when it's ready to harvest, we harvest it and we give it to the community free of charge.
Amazing.
And so we have the youth come in and they like plant. We show them how to plant. We have people come in who teach like different techniques and uses of soil and the different plants. We've also had classes where we've had people come in and do like tree grafting and showing people how to kind of grow a tree within a tree. It's really like an awesome thing. And so yeah, that organization does a lot for the youth in that aspect.
So, Southern Ohio Folk Life. You're on that board as well, like board member, board member, board member. You're
Yeah,
on a lot of boards. I can see why you're in demand because you're really interested in the community and promoting it. So, um, first, what is that organization?
Southern Ohio Folk Life is an organization that is kind of geared towards preserving and bringing to light the Latin history and culture that resides here in the city of Portsmouth, or even in the not just the city of Portsmouth, but in the tri-state area, Appalachia.
Oh, I thought it had a connection to Appalachia.
Yes, yeah, Appalachia.
Is that what sort of projects do they do? Because honestly, I'm fairly new at hearing about it. Maybe for the last few months, I've heard it a few times, but um, what sort of do they do events? Do they do?
Yeah, so we've been able to complete a few projects. We brought a band here, some musicians that it's called Mexa, and I can never pronounce it, so I'm just gonna try here. Mexa Mexalacha. Yes. Okay, so it's a blend of Appalachian folk music and Mexican music, and they were fabulous. I mean, fantastic. It's almost like it had this like bluegrass feel, but also was like sung in Spanish, and it was just a blend of two different genres of music, and it was actually really great. And so we had this event, and what was I would say one of the best things about it was that you had a different mixture of people at this event, whether you were Latino or you were, um, American or white, Caucasian, and it really like watching everyone dancing because some of the some of the folks could hear the bluegrass mixed in within, and so like they knew how to dance bluegrass. And then you had people from the Latin culture like coming up, and they were dancing in their heritage, like Spanish dancing, like Spanish music. And so like watching that like transpire was very inspiring. And so we are working on 2025. Maybe we can bring together a Latin festival. It would probably pretty much, if I'm not mistaken, would be the very first Latin festival here in Portsmouth, Ohio.
Oh, I would say
Yeah, and
so.
so we'll be bringing music, within that Latin culture, food, and all kinds of different things. And so, we're looking to really hopefully get that done within 2025. The organization really wants to, like I said, we really want to bring to light the history of Latin culture here within Portsmouth, which actually has a lot, and a lot of people don't know about that. And I don't want to seem like I'm tooting my own horn here, but I was actually the very first Latino to be a part of city government here, the city of Portsmouth. And so, it's kind of like, why is that? Especially when there are lots of Latinos here within the city of Portsmouth.
Oh, certainly. So most recently, I do know there was an event that a woman that was, I believe, a blues singer, or she impersonated a blues singer.
Yes.
And that went into several different events. I only got to participate in one of them but anyway, that with the band would have been awesome. So can you give more details about that event? That was
yes, yeah, absolutely.
3 different places,
That was we put that on like by it was it was put together like very quickly. We had no idea that we were going to even do it. So me and another board member, actually the founder of Southern Ohio Folklife, Cassie Patterson, who is an awesome individual, by the way. We were at a retreat, an artist retreat, actually, with the Waymakers Collective. And we were in Kentucky, and we were at this retreat. And Cassie already knew the young lady that did the performance. Her name is Lady D. And so, she had introduced me to her. And when she introduced me to her, and I was like, oh, hello, how are you? Pretty much like, what do you do? You know what I mean? And so as creatives, we look and we're fascinated with what people do and how they do it and what they do, so I immediately started asking questions as soon as she introduced me, and I was like, oh, so what do you do? Like, and she told me she does this performance about Bessie Smith, who is a old jazz artist, and like her story was awesome. Mm-hmm. And I said, and I looked at her and I said, oh, that is so great. So when are you coming to Portsmouth? and so like Cassie was like, dude, why would you like? And I was like, look, man, like we need people to come and do it. You know what I mean? Like the first thing you got to do is ask. So I did. And Cassie was like, all right, well, he threw out the invitation. Now we got to figure out how do we get the money to be able to do this. And so Cassie wrote a grant. or wrote for a grant, and we won that grant, and that's what we used that money for, was to bring Lady D and the Empress performance here to Portsmouth. Within that same grant, we were able to acquire a gentleman by the name of Lamont, and he does this like blues history workshop that he did for us at the 14th Street Community Center with the kids and stuff, and it was really awesome. We were able to put together the workshop and then the Lady D performance, both for 2 days.
So one of them had a band as well. One
Yes,
was
so-
the one-person show that Lady D does, which was fantastic. I did get to attend that. And the other was the band, and I didn't get to hear that. And I was like saddened by
Yeah,
that.
that was the one at the museum
Okay.
where she had the band, and it was fantastic. It was great. She does such a great job, and I enjoyed her company, and I enjoyed her performance. It was just amazing. It was amazing to watch. And so afterwards, we, showed her around town. Cassie got to like take her around and show her all kinds of things that we're doing here in Portsmouth. And Lady D had mentioned that this would be a place that she would love to come and possibly move here because of all the great things that are happening.
That's awesome. I know she's from West Virginia, if I remember right.
Yes, Charleston, kind of I want to say somewhere around the Charleston area.
Okay.
And so like for her to like see the things that are happening here and seeing all the awesome people who are trying to do great things, and for her to comment, I would love to move here.
That says
I told her, I was, yeah, oh yeah, I told her, come on down, like we need you, like come on, like you know what I mean, like what team do you want to be on? Because I've got plenty of them.
yeah, she has a great energy, and
yes.
So I can say that was a really wonderful event. Stay tuned for part 2 of our time with Edwin Martell. So as our time comes to a close, remember to keep creating, keep sharing, and keep supporting each other. And remember to bloom where you're planted. Bye for now.